So here we are on chapter 12, and this is just more threes times tables. And the best way to learn your threes is really to just write them over and over again. These are some of the ones that we can do. We can't count by threes: 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, and so forth. But the best way is just to really write them down, because these are a little bit more trickier than others, because with the twos we learned our doubles. With ones it's pretty easy. All of the other ones are pretty easy that we've learned so far. The nines, we have that trick where we can figure out our first number to the answer, and then we can figure out the second number by finding out which one adds to make 9. But with the threes, I really like the kids to just write them down. 3 times 0 is 0. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times 5 equals 15. 3 times 6 equals 18. 3 times 7 equals 21. 3 times 8 equals 24. 3 times 9 equals 27. 3 times 10 equals 30. And 3 times 11 equals 33. And 3 times 12. Oh, let's get that back so you can see. 3 times 12 equals 36. Okay, so and even when you look here, there's a lot of them that we've already kind of learned. The 11 is just like 3 times 1. It's just the mirror is twice, so that's why you have 2 3s. So this one I've already taught the kids. The 10s we've learned the 9s, we've learned our 5s, we've learned our 2s, we've learned our 1s and our 0s. So even if you get to this point where you're kind of like, oh man, well, I don't know 8 times 3, 8 times 3, but you do know 9 times 3. So you can always just subtract the 3 to get to 24. And the same thing goes over here with the 15. If you know 3 times 5, then you know that 3 times 6 is just going to be 3 more. So you can use that to help you remember. But if you write these down enough times, you will memorize these. Okay, and with the threes, that's really the best way, because they are a little bit harder. Some kids can count by 3s, some can't. So if you can, and that was also helpful, but I really just would prefer kind of for kids to just write them down until they get them. Okay, on this side we have skip counting at the top, and then over here we have yards, and it shows that 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. So and then right here it shows that 6 tablespoons equal, let me switch it over, 6 tablespoons are equal to 12 teaspoons. And the reason for that is because 1 tablespoon is 3 teaspoons. So, and that is all in the laminated sheet that I gave everybody, but you can also find it in the back of your book right here, page 435. You'll find all of your measurements right down here where it says measurement. Okay. So then every time that, we have any of these problems, we know we're multiplying by 3, because it's 3 feet that equal a yard, and it's 3 teaspoons that equal 1 tablespoon. Okay, so then on number 20 it says, Mom's new bedspread is 3 yards long. How many feet long is the bedspread? So this answer is incorrect, but this is a used book, so the way we would do that is, if the bedspread is 3 yards long, okay, write 3, and then we know that 1 yard is how much? how many feet. We look up here, it said that 3 feet equal a yard. So 3 times 3, and then we would find that the bedspread is 9 feet long. So that would be the answer to that. Okay, then we come over here to the next page, and it's just more 3's multiplication. Okay, so over here it says 3 counted 9 times, and we went over that anytime you see counted, something counted a certain amount of times, that's always means multiply. Okay. Another one here is the same thing. It's the yards again. So we know, and it says you can skip count 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24 to get 8 yards, or you can just do 8 times 3. That gives you 24, because you know that 1 yard is going to give you the 3 feet. So you do 8 times 3. Same here with the teaspoons and tablespoons. You multiply 7 tablespoons times 3 teaspoons, and that gives you 21. Because 1 tablespoon equals 3 teaspoons. And then you have some word problems that also kind of do the same thing. This is 1 foot, and same thing, it's a yard equals 3 feet. So even though it says 1 foot, don't let that confuse you. 1 foot is the same thing. A lot of kids get confused when it goes from feet to just 1 foot. Same kind of idea there with the 3 feet equaling a yard. Okay, over here is just more review. Let's see. This is all more review. Over here we have these problems that the kids are having a really hard time with. And I've been going over these a lot in class. Let me pull this over here. Okay. Okay, and it is when we have these really tall problems of addition. So I'm going to do one here on my board just so that you guys can see how I solve these. And this will make it easier for you to solve them at home. Okay, so let me make sure I have all my numbers. 31, 79, 45, and 3. Perfect. And that's on page 167, number 13. So first I find which numbers equal a 10. And this is why I want kids to know their addition facts, because if we have these here, okay, and just writing these down are really helpful to know them, because you're just going 0, 1, 2, 3 and finding the other number that corresponds. So it's pretty easy because this one's also going in lower, this one's going higher. Okay, so that's when we're all done. We have all of our facts. So if we look here, we know that 9 and 1 equal 10. So then we put these together because that's a 10 right there. Okay, if we know our other facts, if we know our 8 facts, okay, then we know that 3 and 5 right here are going to give us 8. Okay, so we know that that's 8. And then this is 18. So we can just put down our 8, bring up our 1, and then we can go ahead and make this. We know that 7 and 3 again equal 10. That's our 10 right there. So we have 10 plus 4 is 14, plus 1 is 15. So it's 158. Okay. So if you know these addition facts from 10 all the way down, 10 for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, then this becomes a breeze. But when we don't know these, then it becomes really hard, because we're trying to finger count this big stack of numbers, and that's really hard. Okay, let's do the next one. Leave these facts there just in case I still need them. Okay, we'll do 18, 25, 53, 72. Okay. Okay, so this is my next stack to add up. So again, I have, let me bring this down more. Okay, so I have 8 and 2, and I know that those are right here. Those are my 10 facts, so those are 10. And then I know that 5 and 3, that gives me an 8 because I have my 8 facts right here. And this is my 5 and 3 right here. And I know that those equal 8. So this is something I don't even count, I just know it because I know my facts. So then 10 plus 8 is 18. So I put the 8 here, carry the 1, and I look over here, and it doesn't seem like I have any 10 facts, but I still know that 7 and 3 right here give me 10, so I can just use all 3 of these. That gives me 10, okay? And then 10 plus 5 is 15, plus the one that we carried is 16. Excuse me. So then that's the answer for that one. And this is why when we're adding, knowing our facts is so important, because it makes it a breeze, makes it super easy. There's no finger counting. And remember, in the back of the book, I always, because I know a lot of parents, they fight this way of knowing your addition facts and stuff like that, but I do want you to kind of like want to scroll to the back of the book, kind of give you an idea of what's to come. So kind of like if we do a problem like this one, 322 times 725, then we know that there's going to be 3 rows to add in this problem because there's 3 numbers at the bottom. So this would be 5 times 2. This would be the same thing, 5 times 2, which is 10, plus 1 is 11. 15 plus 1 is 16. Okay, then we bring down our 0. This is 4, this is 4, and this is 6. Then we do another 0 and another 0 to hold our place. This is 14. Okay, this is 14, 15. And then this is 21, 22. Okay, so now when we're adding all of this up, this is really going to help us to know our facts, because see, this is 0, this is 5, this is 10. We know that 6 and 4 are some of our 10 facts, so we know that's 10. This is 14. Okay, we know that this 6 and 5, because 5 and 5 is 10, one more is just 11, 11, 12, 13. And then it makes this a breeze. Okay, so the kids who don't learn their 10 facts, this right here becomes really, really hard. Really, really hard. Okay, so I just, the reason that I want them to know this, there's a reason behind it. Please just try to have them do it. It'll be so good for them. They'll feel so much more confident in their math. I know that a lot of times, things that we didn't learn as kids, we're kind of very reluctant to teach it to our children. But what I always say is, if sometimes things that we didn't learn, that's why maybe we struggle in math even, but we don't want our kids to have those same struggles. So if there's something new that they can learn that can make their life easier, where they understand math a little bit better, then why not give it a shot, Anyway, let's keep moving on. Those are those problems down here, and I've seen a lot of kids have a hard time with those. Okay, these are some more word problems over here, and subtraction problems. These are other ones that students are having a really hard time with. Number 15 says 69 minus 19. Okay, this one's easier because this one they can just straight subtract. 9 minus 9 is 0, and then this is 5. So that's easier, but it's this one. It's the problems like this where they have to actually borrow that are really, they're having a hard time with. And this is why I always make subtraction problems like this a little story, and I say, this is you, okay? And somebody wants to borrow 7 of your items, but you only have 1. Can you give them 7? And the kid says no. I said, okay, well then you go and you borrow from your neighbor. If you take one of his things away, he only has 7 now. And then you put the 1 in front of your number, and now you have 11. Okay, now do you have enough to give your friend at the bottom? Yes. Okay, so what is 11 minus 7? We know that 10 minus 7 is 3 because we know our 10 facts. So with one more, it's just 4. Okay, and then 7 minus 2 is 5. So then that's how we do that. So many kids, when we were doing the math competition, they were struggling to get these answers correct. So please make sure that when your child's doing their homework that you check for these problems. The one with all of the additions stacked up high, and then these where you have to borrow with the subtraction. Okay, and then this is all just more review. And then if we go to 12E, same thing. There's some more problems here where you have to, they're all stacked up. Okay, do it the same way. And then here's some more review of the dimes, and dimes are, you know, are 10 cents, so that's incorrect. But like I said, this is a used workbook. So, and then, but the 4 dimes, when you see something like that, 4 dimes, I always tell students, try to do this. Try to do 4, and then you know if it says 4 dimes like this, I always just write on the top for the dimes, I put 10 cents. So now we know it's 4 times 10, so that equals 40 cents. Okay, that's the correct answer. And same thing I do for quarts. I have, like right here it says 7 quarts equal 14 pints. Well, you do 7 quarts equals, and then how many pints? Well, you know that 1 quart equals 2 pints, so you just put the 2 right there. And it just helps to make sure that you're putting the correct measurement, because when you write it, you're like, wait a minute, is that correct? And you can go and check on that sheet where it has your measurements, and you can make sure, and then you say, okay, 7 times 2, that's 14. Okay, so I like to always write my numbers there for what those stand for. And then let me see, there's some more subtraction, which is very important for them to practice right here. Okay, and then I'll do some of these word problems because I want to just show how I work them out. A lot of kids try to do all of this in their head, and I like to see the work, just because problems will get harder, and then if you don't show your work, it starts to get confusing, which has happened a few times when there's the 2-step problems. A lot of students do get confused. So let's do number 17. That looks like there's more steps. So it says Becky's bread recipe calls for 2 teaspoons of salt. She wants to make 3 times the recipe. How many teaspoons of salt does she need? So 2 teaspoons of salt, and she wants to make 3 times the recipe. So I always tell the kids, when it says 3 times, it's telling you the answer. It's telling you how to set up your problem. So it's just 3 times. Okay, so that's the number she has originally, but they want 3 times the amount. So it's 6 teaspoons. Okay. Now it says, how many tablespoons of salt does Becky need? Solve for the unknown. Okay, so we know, what do we know? We know that 1 tablespoon is equal to 3 teaspoons. So a lot of people come to this and they say, oh, are we dividing? No, we're not dividing here. Okay, we still want to think in multiplication terms. So what we'll do is we'll do this. We'll say, okay, so we'll do, says, how many tablespoons of salt does she need? Okay, so we're solving in tablespoons, so we'll do 6 is our ending, because that's how much we have all together. And then we have 1 tablespoon equals 3 tablespoons. I mean 1 tablespoon equals 3 teaspoons. So we have our 3 there. So we have 3 times something is going to give us those 3 teaspoons. And that number is 2. So we solve it like this. We have our equals, we have our 3, we have our missing number, and then that's what gives us our 2 tablespoons. Okay, and that's how many tablespoons would be there. And you always have to think, when you have a 6, how many groups of 3 can you get out of that 6? And that's kind of thinking with division terms, but you know, this is groups of. So say 3 groups of 2 or 2 groups of 3. Okay, so if the tablespoon needs 3 teaspoons, then we need it to read this way. So 2 groups of 3 tablespoons will give us 2 tablespoons. Okay. Okay, there's also, you'll see problems like this one where they will kind of try to do different things, so they get you confused because we're doing multiplication. But just like we get some of these problems that are addition, subtraction, we will get some of those in word problems as well. So number 19, this is on page 170. Okay, and it says, one day as part of her training for the Olympics, Lisa ran 12 miles, rode her bike for 25 miles, swam for 3 miles, and sailed for 10 miles. How many miles did she cover? Okay, so a lot of kids will say, what do I have to do here? Am I multiplying? Okay, so am I adding? Am I subtracting? What am I doing? So you just have to think about it, and think about it in terms of what you would do, okay? Maybe you don't ride your bike for that many miles and do all of those things, right? But you can say, maybe just on a day that you were outside playing, maybe you were running for 12 minutes. Maybe you rode your bike for 25 minutes, and then you went swimming for 3 minutes, and then you sailed, not sailed, let's say instead of sailing, let's say you just played inside for 10 minutes. So how many minutes did you cover? So if you're thinking of it that way, it's something that you do, then you can see that in order to see how much you played all together, okay, and that's what they're asking, how many miles did she cover? How many miles did she train all together? That's what it's really asking you. So anytime it's asking you something like that, then it is addition. And when we're doing addition, okay, I always like to do this. I like to stack my numbers in order from least to greatest, but you don't have to do that. I mean, from greatest to least, but you don't have to do that. You can put in whichever order you want, but I prefer this, especially the double digits, okay? So I'll put the 3 at the end. Okay, let me see if I got all of them. 12, 25, 3, and 10. Perfect. I got all of my numbers. Okay, so when we come over here, now we can see that 5, 2, and 3, none of those are 10 facts, which is okay, because we know that 5 and 3, these equal 8. And we know that 8 and 2 equal 10. So there's our 10, and the 0 is just 0, so we don't need that. We put down our 0 for the 10, carry the 1, and then this is, there's 3 1s, and there's a 2, so that's 5. Okay. So even here, where none of these really made a 10, I added these first because I knew those were 8, and then I know 8 and 2 make a 10. So I got my 10 anyway. Okay. So we will have some of these word problems that will just come in for review for addition and subtraction as well. So just make sure you reread and you understand what you're reading before you start to multiply and things like that. Especially, you know, a good way to tell if you need to multiply or not is, have we even multiplied on chapter 12? Have we even done anything that is multiplying 25 times 12 times 10 times 3? All of those numbers, we have not done anything like that. So that's a good way to tell also that this might be addition. Okay. Let me see what else is here. Okay. Nickels is something we already went over. Nickels are 5 cents. A lot of kids get confused with that. But those are also on the back page where the measurements are. It also has all of your money and how much everything equals. And then this is all just more review. So I'll do number 18, and then that's the last one I'll do for this chapter. Number 18 on page 170. 72, it says, Julie had $30 to spend on knitting yarn. She bought 3 very small balls of cashmere yarn at $9 a piece. How much money does she have left? Okay, so first, we know that she had $30 to spend. Okay, so that was how much she had. But then it says she bought 3 very small balls of cashmere yarn at $9 a piece. So that means $9 each. That's how much each ball costs. But it's not telling us how much total she spent. So we can't subtract the total from the 30 yet. So we have to figure out how much total she spent. So it says they were $9 a piece. That's our first sign. And then it says, but how many were there? There were 3 very small balls, so 3 of them. So 9 times 3 is 27. And the 9s are easy because we know we're multiplying by 3. 3 minus 1 is 2. That gives us our first number. 2 plus 7 gives us 9. So these work. So $27 is how much she spent. We're not done there though, because it's asking how much money does she have left. Okay, so we know she started with 30. We know that she spent 27. Now we have to subtract to find out how much she has left. Okay, and 27, if you just count up 3 times, then you get to 30. So you know that that's 3. You also know that 7 plus 3 gets us to the next 10. And the next 10 from 27 is a 30. So those are different ways to know that that's a 3. If you go ahead and also just borrow, then this just becomes a 2, and this becomes a 10. So again, the other part of 7 that makes 10 is 3. So 10 minus 7 is 3. This is 0, and then you get 3. So $3 is how much Julie had left. Okay. Alright, well, that's all for this video. Thank you, you guys, and make sure you ask me any questions if you need to on Slack. And thanks for watching the video, okay?